Well, hello and welcome to Shropshire Business Live TV. We're out on the road once again this month. We've come to the beautiful Stockton House, which is between Bridgnorth and Telford, for a fascinating entrepreneurs event. As you can see, setup is well underway right now. And Johnny Thieman's the man who knows all about it, from good to great, is with me. Johnny, what's going to be happening here?
Yeah, thanks, Carl. So first of all, sorry about the noise, but we're kind of busy getting everybody in there. So we've got about 80 odd people arriving this morning. We've got speakers, amazing entrepreneur Mo Chowdhury. A lot of your viewers will probably know who he is. He's brought up in Shropshire here. Got great stories to tell, and we're having a real focus during this event on technology and people and how that's going to affect us. So we're in a real sort of fulcrum moments, I think, in so many facets of life about technology. And as with all these revolutions, we've got to work out how we take people with us.
So what kind of business people are going to be here today then?
Oh gosh, a really broad section. We've got manufacturers, we've got service businesses, we've got one-man bands, we've got employers with sort of 50 plus business and 50 plus staff. We've got professional services, all sorts of different backgrounds. So it's a very wide church. But the one thing that everybody has in common is they're all trying to achieve growth and progress and stuff for their business. So we're all thinking the same thing.
And from your point of view then, what will dictate a successful event today then? What are the results you want people to get out of it?
So the two key questions we ask at the end is, how much has this inspired you to find ideas and things that you need to do and help you to gain clarity in your business. And the second one is, how ready do you feel to take action? So if we can actually help people to work out what they're going to do and then actually help them to actually, if you like, get off their hands and actually do it, then that's our job done today.
Is this the first time you've done this?
No, we run events and conferences all the time. So we run seminars, events, conferences, courses, all of the time. And this is the second of our proper winter growth conferences. Last year we did it at Shrewsbury Town Football Club. We had Ed Clancy, Olympic and multiple award-winning cyclist with us on that occasion, and this year we decided to put a bit more of a panel because it's a slightly more complex set of challenges we're looking at.
Well, and we've got a great panel line up today, so looking forward to hearing what comes up. And
I'm the only person in Shropshire today. It was forecast for snow, and yesterday I was praying for rain, and it's tipped down with rain, so yeah.
It's actually not too bad, is it? But, us British, we do like to talk about the weather, don't we? Thanks, Johnny. Thank you very much. So that's it. We're going to be hearing over the course of the show from some of the keynote speakers at the event today, and we'll also hopefully be dipping in to a question and answer panel that I'll be helping to chair a little bit later on. But first, let's see where Chris Pritchard has got to this month. He's been out on the road. Let's catch up with him now.
Three individual sensors, optical, heat, and carbon monoxide, combined in one alarm for the ultimate fire and CO response. Introducing the EI3030, the next evolution in home life safety. Maximising coverage, whilst making installation simpler, easier and future-proof with the Easy Fit base. The EI3030 multi-sensor fire and carbon monoxide alarm is available to order now. Safety first. Eco first.
Welcome back to Shropshire Business Live TV. We're here at the beautiful Stockton House near Bridgnorth for this month's show, where an Empower Your Business roadshow has been taking place. Some great speakers involved in this, talking about everything from AI to leadership to entrepreneurialism. And we're going to hear now from the keynote speaker, a man called Mo Chowdhury, who needs little introduction really. His story is incredible. He is one of the most successful Asian businessmen in Britain, a multi-millionaire entrepreneur who actually grew up and was schooled in Shropshire. His family still live in Wellington. He's now the owner of Waterworld, the big water park in the Midlands, and various other businesses in the leisure and fitness industry. I've had the pleasure of knowing Mo well for 7 or 8 years, and he's got a truly motivational story to tell. So let's hear what Mo Chowdhury had to tell the audience.
Good morning. Just let me know if you can't hear me or if I go too quick. I've really been looking forward to coming here today and to share some of my life story with you and hoping that it will kickstart or inspire or make some changes to your mindset. I don't do presentations, sort of the formal presentations, but I've made a few notes, so just bear with me. Before we get going, I want to apologize before I actually get into this. I can be quite provocative. I have my views, and I don't mean to offend anybody, and just in case you think that I'm actually being single gender or I'm picking a particular group. I'm very apolitical. I'm very, as I deal with people. It doesn't really matter what background anyone's from. But I have unique experiences that I'd like to share with you. The important thing to me really is to set the scene, to take it back to the beginnings. I see so many people nowadays so unhappy, having mental issues, challenges, and it seems to be trauma after trauma. But little do they really know that it's a relative term, and some of us been through hell and back and live to tell the tale. It's a story of making your dreams come true. It's a story of making the impossible possible. It seems unreal. It seems it is not possible to do these sorts of things. But trust me, it is. So how is it? How is it possible for a young immigrant boy born in poverty, in the middle of absolutely nowhere in a medieval time, it seemed like, very primitive, no modern conveniences. We ends up in this country, in Luton. As Carla said, not educated, goes to school 9 years of age, learning a new language, a new culture, new people, unable to read and write. How is it possible that person go from those unpromising beginnings to a world today where my businesses, I employ 600 people, we generate gross profits of £20 million, and I'm proud to be able to say that I made that break. I'm also proud to be able to say that actually once you made enough money, life does change and it does give you that freedom, and you can then enjoy the pleasures of life, but at the same time you're going to do things that you always want to do. This Maslow's hierarchy of need, this self-actualization, where once you've had enough to feed yourself and have a roof over yourselves, you want to do good deeds. And this is part of my doing good deeds, is try to share my story, to try and transfer that knowledge and whatever experience I've had to hopefully to re-energize from negatives to positives. So I'll set the scene, and then I'm going to hopefully give you some snippets of what I've learned my way. Okay, it's not in textbook. They don't teach you this in the Harvard Business School, but hopefully it will transfer to you some of the absolutely essential nuggets that I've picked up in my life that have been transformational to me, to my people around me, my family, and my friends. So, entrepreneurial spirit. So my father, who was a first-generation immigrant, came to this country on his own, went back after 5-6 years. He started a business, and unfortunately, within 2 years, it failed. He comes back to the UK, and then this was before all this immigration rules. They used to go and recruit people from just after the war for labor. So the Commonwealth, the Caribbean. So my dad got recruited. Young man needed to be brought to this country to rebuild. So that's what he did. So he tried his business. So it failed. So the decision then was, well, let's just all come over to UK and see what we can make it go off. Like I said, for 6 months, did nothing. Didn't realize we could go to school straight away. So we had to wait till I was 9 years of age. That was a very, very difficult period, I have to say. So I've got to really take you into those moments. I call it hell, really. There's no other word for it. It was an absolute living nightmare. You go to school, my dad drops me on the first day and says, there it is. So I just literally walked through, a little 9-year-old kid. I was the only Asian, believe it or not. This is Luton, right? Inner city Luton. I was the only Asian kid in the school. And I thought, where are all the brown kids? There was none. So I was learning to read Peter and Jane books, right? And the kids were all doing normal lessons. No wonder I got picked on. They must have thought I had special needs because I just, they thought, who's this kid? He can't even read. So you can imagine how difficult that was to catch up and then to be picked on relentlessly. But you know what? After a couple of years, 2 years at junior school, it all stopped because I started to be able to communicate. And as soon as you're able to communicate, it gives you so much more power So all that little bit of bullying, it wasn't, the word people use racism. Racism is a big word. I think people are generally ignorant. We're all ignorant of different races and cultures. And when we open up, we're all, it can be very interesting. And it makes life more interesting, doesn't it? So I thought, okay, that's not bad. So senior school, 2 more years in Luton this is, so 4 years in Luton. But then, unfortunately, it was a different experience again. But this time, a different scale. This time, it was violence. It was an inner-city school ruled by black kids. Okay, so if you were anything other than a black kid, you were picked on relentlessly. That's what it was. It wasn't to do with anything else. It was just to do with power and pocket money. So really, what did I do? Pretty much everybody conformed and complied and said, okay, fair enough. Whatever money you had, you gave it in, and that's how the whole structure was made. But I decided, no, I wasn't prepared to accept that. I would not turn the other cheek. Somewhere along the line, at the very beginning of my life, this additional emotion was instilled into my DNA. And guess what? I stood my ground. And all of a sudden, when you stand your ground, things don't become such a big problem anymore. And things started to change, but I had to face the consequences. I had to go with my convictions, and I did okay, But by the end of the first year, I was accepted. And no more bullying, no more pocket money was required. Not that I had any pocket money anyway, because we were so poor. It was school dinners, So anyway, my dad, ever the entrepreneur, his first generation, what does he do? He decides, what had happened in Pakistan? No, it's okay, it doesn't matter. I'll start again. And now that's a quintessential entrepreneur. So he bought an ice cream van. And there's me, 12 and a half years of age. I would do the ice cream with them, serve customers. That's where I learned the art of people, how to get along with people. If you're nice with people, people are nice with you. If you smile, they smile back. If you're miserable, they're miserable. So it's action with the reaction, isn't it? So very early on, all these emotions were formed in my life. Then, of course, my dad gets even bigger. He said, right, now we're going to buy a business. So he did, so he's doing okay. So guess what? As Carla said, we came to Telford, Wellington. And one day my dad says, we're going to Shropshire. And I thought, what is this place called Shropshire? Never heard of it. So I had to look on the map. There was no M54 there, so he came on the old A5. And there used to be a factory called Glinwed. Glinwed? I can't even think of the place now. And it was desolate, dark and desolate. And I thought I'd come from one place with sunny place to Luton inner city. Now it's all countryside, but there's no people. It's just countryside. So, but you know what? That was very, very transformational for me. Because I do wonder if my father hadn't made those moves, where would it ended up? If his business had done okay in Pakistan, where would I be today? You ask these sort of questions, but we all make these life changes. We go forward. There's no point reflecting back on what ifs. So we came to Wellington, and that really, so for the first time, my life started to settle a little bit. I even got myself in the grammar school. How I got in my grammar school, I really don't know to this day. I must have convinced her name was Miss Ethel Austin. And I went for the interview, and she says to my dad, your son's bright. Don't need to do entrance exam. We'll have him in. Little did she know. Okay, so it was downhill from there. I'll come out to that in a minute. But the other thing that actually really was transformational for me was I got the love for sport. So at the grammar school, there was fields, football fields, rugby, cricket. It was just like utopia for me. And I befriended an old English man. And he must have been, must have been about my age, but he looked ancient to me at the time when I was a little kid. And he was an ex-pro cricketer. So he instilled the love of cricket in me. And he persuaded me to go and join Wellington Cricket Club. And one day I got the courage. I don't know how I did it. I'm a little me in a little bag. One day I went to the Haygate Road where it is, and then I turned back. I didn't have the courage to go in because I was on my own. But then one day I did. And they welcomed me in. They became my second family. They were absolutely brilliant. They opened my eyes to the world of possibilities and made me realize, actually, this word called racism is nonsense. There's no such thing as racism. It's ignorance. And there's some great people. And this is a great country. And all of a sudden, I started to see some possibilities for a brown kid, a Muslim kid in a foreign country. And I started to learn about history and realized, actually, we belong. The black people, the Asian people, we all belong. We all been part of this empire. So we don't need to be aliens anymore. So what do? How am I going to make my fortune? Joe Nobody, really. Good man of no prospects, living in a £10 a week bedsit, for God's sake. Didn't have enough money to pay for 50p meters at times. Anne's mother came to see me one day with her, and I could see it in her eyes. I could see I ran out of 50p's. It was so cold. And I could tell in her eyes, she must have thought, what am I doing? What are you doing with this loser? You know, because that's exactly what I would be saying. Bless her, she never said it. You know, bless them, they just supported me. They didn't really judge me. They gave me the opportunities. So what do I do? What do I do? How can I get somewhere? So I thought, right, I like people. I like talking to people. You know, I just enjoy that. So I started, instead of working in a bank, instead of working in a leisure center, I started selling door-to-door insurance, door-to-door. What on earth does that motivate somebody to do just that? Can you imagine? Then they call it cold calling. Trust me, it's freezing out there when you can't get in. We would go to a place like Buxton, and that is really, really cold. They would put you in places where you have to be motivated to knock on doors. But that was it. That was the moment, ladies and gentlemen, when it really, really dawned on me that I was going to make a fortune. How? Because I realized I had bottle. I had character. Before that, it was just talk. For the first time in my life, because I wanted to be somebody. I wanted to get somewhere in my life. All of a sudden, things started happening for me. I got a job in a leisure center, which I turned down. And all of a sudden, it clicked. I was saying the same things I thought to the same people, but also I started getting results. Because the energy that I was transferring, it was so captivating, it was compelling, it was attracting, because I really believed in what I was trying to do. So that got me going, because most people cannot do that. It's too much hard work. Everybody looks for options, easy options. Go on the phone, try and find an easier option. There is no easy option in life. You've got to confront your demons. Like I did with those kids at Beach Hill High School. You have to stand up. And I learned the art of winning. I learned something about success. So I'm going to share with you now 3 things that I believe are the absolute golden nuggets have been for me in my life that's helped me. And trust me when I say this to you, if you transfer those key attributes, power 3 attributes, it will help you in whatever walk of life you're in. It doesn't really matter whether you're going to be a business person or a scientist or artificial intelligence, whatever your skill is, you know, that's fine. So what is it? The first is extraordinary motivation. And that extraordinary motivation, it's not just a word, it's a spark, it's a fire in your belly type of motivation. So for me, it happened through adversity. For some of you who are talented, it will happen naturally. You'll find you're very good at something, you follow it through, and they'll carry on and carry on. For me, a failure, the disaster, made me realize I had to do something about it, was the catalyst of my life that I vowed from that moment on I would never, ever fail at anything. If I did, it would be through not lack of effort. So that extraordinary motivation has taken me all this way through various jobs. I then started, obviously, I did that for a short period of time. It was about 6 months of my life. I then, you have to start thinking smarter. The education then kicks in. I then set my own financial services business up, and it really went from there. But everything I've done in my whole life has been revolved around passion, commitment, this extraordinary motivation. You've got to give it all. It's all or nothing. There's no half measures in life. If you commit, absolutely commit, you will always get the nod. I train with guys 20 years younger than me in the gym, in my gyms. And they may be stronger than me sometimes, but when it comes to the crunch times, I still more times than not, I still actually outperform them, because I just got that little bit of extra edge in me that they haven't got. And it's self-taught, it's self-propelled, and it's part of my DNA. So that's the first power of 3. I'm sure there's more to it than that, but I'll just have a look. How am I doing for time, by the way? Got 10 more minutes? Okay, good. It's difficult to time this. I mean, I've done no rehearsal, I just wanted to chat with you guys. The second power is equally important. Risk. I call it the ability to take risk. Not gambling, risk. When you are motivated to do something, you will look at something and you'll regard that as an opportunity. If you are not so motivated, you look at that situation and regard it as what? Risk. Risk, problem, what ifs. What if this doesn't happen? What if this is a disaster? Or what if it does work? You know, that's how you got to look at it. Always look at it from the positive side of things. Weigh something up, commit. And I can give you so many examples of that. So I'll get going. I'm starting to make some bit of money. Within 5 years, I've gone from being a pauper to a millionaire. At a time when a millionaire meant something. Before 30 years of age. But I had sense. I thought, I'll do what the Asians do, invest in property. Okay? So the Asian is that sometimes never leaves you, you know, that route. It's land and property, that land and property. So this is surreal, actually. So I got myself going into this property company whilst I was in my financial services business. And I got the opportunity to buy a property in Hanley. I went to auction, but the very first auction in London at Allsops. I'd buy this property. And the price was something like £750,000. It was a big deal for me. I had a mortgage lined up with Commercial Union because I was in financial services. And they came back and said, the guy came and saw me and said, look, I'm just going to survey the property and I'll sign it off. Great. He comes back an hour later and you could look at his face and I thought, uh-oh, I've got a problem here. I'm sorry, I can't lend you the money. Why not? We think there's a structural problem with it. So I'm left with the situation where I've got to complete the deal, can't get a mortgage on it. And the contract is valid. So what am I going to do? Somehow, so you don't lose your shirt at the back, somehow I managed to pull the deal together and I managed to get the funds to buy the property outright. From a disastrous situation, I then find that within a few months I managed to do a deal with Staffordshire University. And we convert upper floors into halls of residence. And then we do a structural survey on the property. And we found out that actually there is no problems. All it was is these professional surveyors, on the hearsay, said that this property was stood still as a shell in the war. It had steel rust issues. But the fact is, there was no issues. So a gamble that nearly didn't come off, or sort of a risk that nearly didn't come off, in the end became one of my best investments. And that gave me a kickstart to everything I've done since. That property probably earned me about £7-8 million over the years, and then literally just recently sold it. So it proves that by taking risk, sometimes you have to have the bottle to go through with the convictions. And sometimes things don't always go your way. So come on to my third, and the most important, I think, is you take your chances, you really get motivated, and what's going to happen is, we're human, aren't we? We're not infallible. So we're going to have fall down occasionally. It's what you do when you fall down is what's going to determine your next stage in your life. That is probably the most important thing of all things. We could all be, when I used to play cricket, there used to be a guy who was great, and he was a bit of a bully, you know, smack. When he came across the tougher opponents, he couldn't handle it. It's how you handle the pressure, how you handle the most difficult situations. And I want to just give you one example of that, Waterworld. How it took me 18 months to do the deal. I went, I looked, never been before, and I thought, that's it, I'm going to buy this. You know, no research, just instinct. Went to the bank and said, yeah, no problem, we'll get KPMG to do the due diligence. And I said, what's due diligence? And they said, well, you know, because I said, oh, how much is it going to cost? I said, £25,000. I said, £25,000? I've done my due diligence. I like it, I want to buy it. Come on, give me the money. And they said, well, no, it's not quite that simple. You know, we will get you the money, but it's going to, forget it. I went to my company, put my chambers out, and I said, can you lend me some money, please? Sure, fine. Borrowed some money from my company, which thought you had some money, and I ended up buying it. Blind. One could say blind. It was losing £500,000 a year. No one wanted to buy it. But you know what? It's been the best investment of my life. Because what the big problem was, but there was no problem. People have no bottle. So there was a bit of an issue with the rates. £500,000 of rates. So you can imagine it's quite a big deal. But I had sussed out there was a way around it. But I had to take the gamble to buy the business first to take my chance. So I buy the business, the bill comes in, It was October 1999, I think. I remember to this day, and I had to sit down before I opened it, you know. And the bill came in. I thought, how am I going to afford to do this? So you know what? The motivation, when you're down, you do something about it. So what do? I get on the phone. And I want to speak to the valuation office, because it's been sitting in the valuation office for 12 months and no one's made a decision. This is before internet, of course. But no one wants to speak to me. No one, you know, forget about the computers. The person saying, no, he's busy. Anyway, after 4 or 5 hours of trying, about 10, 15 calls, the guy finally succumbs. He says, Mr. Chowdhury, you're a very persistent man. What can I do for you? I said, well, this is the problem, whatever his name was. This is the problem. You've been sitting on this for 12 months. Previous company was a FTSE 100 company. I'm a one man. I want you to do something about this. Otherwise, there's going to be big issues. Guess what? Within 7 days, I got a new rateable value of 100,000 quid. So that saved my skin, but that also gave me the opportunity to get into it. And now it's the most successful water park business, water leisure business in the country, valued £70 million. And it cost me £1.5 million. I took all that risk. So sometimes the biggest risks give you the biggest rewards. Never, ever be afraid to take your chances. And I want to finish off by quoting you Theodore Roosevelt. Heard of him? President Theodore Roosevelt, man of words. He summed it all up, what I've tried to sum up in the last half an hour. So it's not the critic that counts. It's not the man who points out when the strong man stumbles or when the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust, sweat, and blood, who strives valiantly on, who knows at the best, in the end, the triumph of high achievement. But he also knows if he fails, he has failed whilst daring greatly. For his place is not amongst those cold and timid souls that know neither victory nor defeat. For when a man has had to fight for it, life truly has a flavor that the protected shall never know. So that's my words to you, ladies and gentlemen. Believe in yourselves, go for it, and never turn back. Thank you.
I'm here to talk to you today about the Higher National Diploma Healthcare Professions Support. Higher National Diploma has been awarded HTQ status and has been designed against occupational standards within the NHS amongst other employers, meaning by completing the H&D you already have the requirements to enter the job of your dreams. The courses are aimed at adult learners aged 18 plus who have recently left education, completing qualifications in the healthcare field, or professionals working in the healthcare sector who are looking to upskill or change roles within their career. So a HTQ is an alternative progression route into higher education. The course costs are significantly reduced in comparison to full-time university fees, and the studying takes place locally on site at Telford College in our state-of-the-art healthcare academy. Students will be given a placement mentor who can support them with their role both in the hospitals or during placement and on site here at Telford College, with personalised learning plans tailored specifically for students' needs. There are also a range of careers available, such as occupational therapy assistant practitioners, operating department assistant practitioners, maternity care assistants, community care assistants, and prehabilitation and rehabilitation.
I love Telford College because it's very accessible to myself, and I also like the inclusive learning. So like for example, the hospital ward, because it helps everyone else like myself also understand what it will be like when you actually go out on placements. The teachers are very, very helpful. If you don't understand, they will re-go through it again. They will give you extra support.
We're in our virtual and augmented reality suite. We have software which is linked to all our curriculum areas, boasting some of the latest innovation, especially around the healthcare setting, where we worked with the NHS to develop some clinical scenarios. Our students can access all this technology in different ways. So through our immersive headsets, they can be immersed into these scenarios where they can get a real feel of what they're trying to learn. Caves where you can be immersed with multiple people in that scenario so it feels like you're actually there. through to a bit more augmented technology where it will help you guide you through different scenarios with teacher-led learning.
We have lots of different clubs and activities, things like driving theory, sign language clubs. There are also sports you can take part in, say recreational or competitive, and on-site facilities. We have a gym that students can use free of charge, 2 catering outlets that students can access, and of course Starbucks, which is discounted from high street prices.
Applying couldn't be easier. You can just go on our website, open an account and follow the simple steps. If you have any queries about any courses along the way, you can contact a member of our Student Services team, or alternatively you can visit one of our many open evenings and open events and you can chat to members of the staff.
Welcome back to Shropshire Business Live TV. Time now to cross over to Chris for our Ask the Expert slot. It's time to find out what Nick Jones has got to tell us this month.
Well, I've come along to Endor Fitness at Battlefield in Shrewsbury. I'm here with Nick Dean and Nick Jones from Throgmorton Wealth Management. And we're chatting today because, Nick, you've recently had quite a life-changing piece of news and you've been diagnosed with MND, motor neurone disease, and you're doing a bit of a challenge to raise some money, aren't you?
I am, yeah. I was diagnosed back in November, so as you can imagine, a shock. But my way of dealing with it is approaching challenges. So I did the first running challenge in December, raised over 11 grand, and a friend suggested a 3 Peaks one as I was looking for more challenge. So that's what I'm doing. I booked 25 trim rooms in Fort William, 2 coaches. I may not take that many, but ambition. So what I'm doing is a fee of £230. That includes the coach, accommodation, breakfast, business breakfast box, and guides. And then people have 2 fundraising options. They can either self-fund £350, put their feet up, or they can join my team and raise money, £300 plus, as part of my team. So hopefully we'll raise loads of money, and it's a challenge I've always wanted to do, so while still mobile, I'm really looking forward to it. And Nick's been hugely supportive too and joined the team himself.
So you've got involved, Nick. You've got a team being put in from Throgmorton, haven't you?
Absolutely, yeah. So we've known Nick a long time, this Nick. We've known him a long time from the networking circuit, and he's always been a really nice guy. And we were touched by his story. And I know he was due to enter the London Marathon this year, weren't you? And actually then isn't doing that now. But this challenge has replaced that. And weirdly, we like a challenge anyway. We've done lots of things in the past, but to be able to encourage some of the other team members to do it as well, some of my colleagues. So we've got 2 from the Leicester office. We've got 4 of us from Shrewsbury taking part. You've met Becky last month now actually. You met Adam before when we were doing the education with the scholars on the football side of things. And we've got Hayley who's coming through on the administrative management side. So there's lots of us, and it's actually great fun. We're all various levels of fitness, but we love a challenge, as I say, and we've got quite a little. Well, we've got 12 or 13 weeks to go, and actually there's a 12 weeks training program which is going to be coming out. So the guys are all kind of averagely fit. Probably couldn't do it tomorrow, but we'll be able to do it, and it's the end of May, so it's actually the 24th, 25th of May, isn't it? So going on the bus to Fort William, as Nick was saying, on the 24th, and then starting at 6 a.m. on the 25th.
So it's quite a challenge then, Nick. How are you getting on preparing for this?
Well, I'm still running. I shall come along to as many of the gym stuff as I can do. Hopefully my fitness will be okay, but one way or another, I shall try and do it.
Which is brilliant, isn't it? Now, Nick, I know that you're getting some support because Connor from Endor Fitness. Connor, would you like to come in as well? So you've set up a training program, haven't you?
Yes, that's it. So we're going to run 12 weeks worth of training starting, I think it's next Saturday. So I think it's the 2nd of March. The idea being that if we can build endurance in the legs, in the gym, and then there'll be some homework as well.
So plenty for people to get involved in, isn't there?
Yes, and I think the other thing this is going to be so good for is anyone that is going to do the challenge or thinking about doing the challenge that might not be fit enough right now. This will give them, kind of remove that excuse for them and say, you know what, with the right training program, anyone can do it.
That's what people start off and they've got maybe an aspiration to do something, but the training is key, isn't it, to get to that end goal?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think so many people that don't train, they go to events, maybe this has happened to myself or previous people in the past, and they get there and they're not fit enough and it puts them off doing it again. But I think with the right preparation, they can do anything.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Connor. So, Nick, people can still sign up to this, can't they?
Absolutely, yeah. So the sign up is open. We'll put the details on the screen. Before Connor disappears, it's actually worth mentioning that he's volunteering this help. He's volunteered this support when he found out what we were up to. He's encouraging Endorf members to do it, but also welcoming in other people who aren't Endorf members to come and take part in the free weekly sessions. So it's it's a big dedication of his time and expertise. And also, because we've got people doing it from across the Midlands, they won't be coming to the gym in Shrewsbury, but they will have a training plan that they can follow independently. And we're all looking forward to that as well. So it's fair play to Connor, fair play for Nick. We're all in awe of both of them for putting themselves forward and making a difference, and hopefully taking 50 plus people with us to do it. Yeah.
Which sounds great, Nick. So hopefully we can get the 50 people on board and taking part in this.
Well, let's be ambitious, maybe 100, but yes, it'd be good to take 50. I've got about 30 or so said they'll come so far, 10 paid and on board, so looking promising.
So if someone does want to take part, can they just drop you a line, get in touch?
Yeah, they could drop me a line at nickWdean@gmail.com, or they can search online for Nick's 3 Peaks Challenge MND, they will find it. But I can obviously answer any questions, send information to them.
Brilliant. Well, listen, guys, good luck. Best of luck to you all. And thank you, Connor, for doing the training as well. Nick, we need to talk finance. Let's go in. We'll find a seat and we'll go and have a chat.
Let's do that. Sit in the gym.
Right, Nick, this is our little part where we can talk about finance, because what is going on at the moment? We were told a week or two ago we're in recession. Now today, as we record this, we're told we're back out of recession.
Does it feel any different this week to last week? And that's the reality of it, really. People individually, some people are struggling, some people have got more going out than coming in. Some people are okay and are kind of embarrassed because they feel okay and they feel that they should worry a bit more about things than they do. Generally, economics and the terms recessions, the terms depressions, the terms, we're in a boom. It's selling papers, it's highlighting things, it's designed to be emotive, it's designed to get people acting or feeling that they need to act in a certain way. Most of the time, you can kind of ignore it and get on with your life.
I think we've talked about this before, haven't we? I know, the media like any story to stir it up a little bit, as you say, to sell papers, to get clicks on websites.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the clicks on websites is the thing now, isn't it? So if you're driving traffic to a story and you can prove that's a popular story, then there'll be more of those that will come through in the following days. And generally, bad news is what gets people interest, and it is there on your search bar whenever you open up any of your search engines now. The highlights and the headlines are generally negative because you think, oh, how bad is it? What's it going to mean to my mortgage? What's it going to mean to my, the cost of living? Everything's going up in value. My wages aren't necessarily keeping pace. Am I in trouble? Do I need to worry? And sometimes people don't need to worry, but they worry about not having anything to worry about. So the psychology of the whole thing is crazy.
I guess the key thing is to make sure that you're ahead of your own personal finances and keep a tab on things at all times.
Yeah, keeping track of what you're spending, and lots of people have signed up to things over the last 3 or 4 years when we were consigned to home and home entertainment, or if it's Netflix, if it might be the Amazon Primes, whatever it might be. You can look back now, you get a bank statement if you still get such a thing, or you look on your app and you say, actually, I'm spending X amount of £100 and I don't really use that these days.
Forget about these things. I think, was it Martin Lewis that was doing a direct debit day where he said go through your direct debits? Because, like you say, you might subscribe to Netflix or Spotify and then you haven't used them for ages. Yeah. but you're still paying the money.
Yeah, or you'll have the family account like I do, and everyone else is using your Spotify, or the neighbours even. Yeah, but no, it is interesting, and you're right. If you just have a look at that, some of the things are annually renewable, so you wouldn't see them on a monthly one. So they're a little bit sneaky. So if you could look once a year maybe, and then actually really go through and have a cull, you could save a couple of £1,000 a year just by being careful. And it's not being tight; it's just being careful, because what was interesting when you were locked down at home isn't necessarily going to be something that you're using regularly now.
Yeah, it was a different time, wasn't it? We were all at home, we were stuck, we were looking for entertainment.
Different life, you know.
It seems so funny now looking back that, you know, actually the whole COVID point for me, I've kind of lost memory and lost time from that time. And now I think, hang on, we're in 2024, what's changed since then? But it is a real marker, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I remember back to, because I was already with Indorf then with Connor in the previous gym before we moved over here. And the gym closed down, everything went online, we were doing Zooms, and I was really pleased because it was structured to the day. So we were getting up early, not as early as the current session, because it was a case of getting up, 7 a.m. or something, doing the half an hour and joining on the screen with everybody else. It was that bit of companionship that if you didn't have other people around, it was a scary time. And actually just that bit of normality, get up, do some exercise, and then move on. Now we're in this wonderful facility. You think, was that 3 years ago, or was that 13 years ago? When was that?
These days, yeah. Going back to finances, one of the things I do is a regular check-up, and I do look at my account, and I do look at directors. How am I spending too much on this? Even am I spending too much money on fuel for my car? Is that a good thing to be doing regularly then?
Yeah, keep your eye on it. Keep your eye on it. And there'll be occasions when you come to a crossroads, to talk about the car analogy, and what car am I exchanging this one for? Am I going for a diesel? Am I going down the electric route? Is one of the hybrids the way forward? There's been a bit of a pause now with the changes in cars and the bringing in of actual full electrics has been thrust on the industry. It's been put back a little while, hasn't it now? So lots of manufacturers are having to think twice about what they do as far as delivering. But the second-hand value of electric cars is in question because of the battery life.
Yeah, which is a big thing, isn't it?
It's a big thing. So you can depreciate quite a lot by driving off the forecourt with traditional cars. If you get to 8 years of your guarantee on your battery and it's going to expire, that's an expensive liability if it goes wrong after that. So there's a lot of thoughts. But
there is a lot of thought in things like that. Is there anything else that's to note at the moment then financially that we should be aware of?
People will have had their annual statements through from their providers, so if you've got savings plans or investments or pension plans, so that sort of thing is good to have a look through. It should be up from the 2023 value. It should be, because it was a good year. Most things you would have invested in would have gone quite well. If you're not sure what the titles mean, if you're not sure what the financial jargon that's contained in these things, ask someone. Not necessarily the expert at the bar that we talk about, but ask someone who's actually in the game that understands the terms and will explain it to you. What it's more about as well is taking time out to actually work out, well, where am I now? Where am I trying to get to? And good financial advice is more about that plan, more about mapping out those goals, more about what steps do I need to take? Are my contributions enough? Am I paying too much in charges? Have I got the access to the full benefits? Do we understand what my options are at the end? Because flexibility is fantastic now, but it's never been as flexible as it is now. Most people don't understand all that. They still think you've got to build a pot, buy an annuity at the end, maybe take some tax-free cash or not. But that doesn't suit everybody nowadays, and you've got a lot more choices as to how you access. So have a plan, have a target in mind. Where I feel we add most value as advisors is if we've got someone that says, right, at 62, I want to be able to retire and live off X per month, we can then make the numbers work. And if they don't work, we can say that, well, actually, might be unrealistic. Or we can say, you know what, why 62? It could be 58. Yeah. You've got enough, or you can build enough by that point. And some of our happiest clients have found extra life in retirement, and they have a choice whether they work or not. And sometimes they might reduce their hours a little bit now. The cliff edge retirement we talk about quite often, that's less of a thing nowadays. More people are doing 2-3 days and then supplementing it maybe with other money. Maybe they don't need to earn as much as they think they do. So once you work out your net income requirements, that's quite a liberating thing. And they get a state pension forecast, government gateway, free to do. You'll see exactly when you're going to get a state pension, how much of guaranteed income that's going to give you. So that combined with whatever you amass yourself could be enough.
Yeah. Yeah, and as I say, I think people now maybe retiring, but then going on to do, as you say, part-time jobs and doing something that maybe they've always wanted to do, which is more of kind of a hobby but a job at the same time.
Yeah, the pandemic has allowed people to take a step back, forced people almost, okay, normal life stopped for a while. What are you doing with every day? Are you enjoying it? Are you feeling that you're fulfilled? Are you feeling that you're adding benefit to other people? Are you just earning a corn? Are you just earning money every month until X retirement age? A lot of people thought, you know what, I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, I need a bit of a change, I'm going to reduce my hours, I want to see more of the family, I want to see less of the family, I want to see less of the wife, I want to see more of the wife, whatever's gone on. They've actually had time to think about these sorts of things and making some massive decisions. It's the flexibility in employment now is amazing. People can work from home, you can work from hybrid, you can work from the office if that's your wish, and employers are having to sort of harness all of this opportunity and be flexible enough that people can cope and get the most out of their staff whilst looking after clients and whilst making it a good place to be. Because if they don't enjoy it, your staff will clear off and find somewhere where they're appreciated.
It's a good balancing act, though, at the moment for you and I who run businesses and maybe have staff. But, you've always got to be looking ahead as well of what's best for them to get the best for your business.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And you want people to stay with you that are good people, that they become your work family. And we've had some big changes over recent years with the practice and the merge and things. But most important of all of it has been everybody being happy and staying on the bus who's interested in wanting to be with us. And we've been... That's all bedded in now and settled down really nicely, and we've actually been recruiting new people, and we've got a few more coming over the next few months that I've seen. The nice thing with it, that we've got a team of people doing all that stuff now, so I don't have to do that personally, which is part of the reason for the merge, really. Not having the day-to-day running responsibility of the practice, spending more time doing things like this, spending more time with clients, and actually seeing where we can make a difference.
Well, look, we always like questions here at Shropshire Business Live TV. I've got one for you. This is from Ellen. She says, my husband has just taken early retirement at 60, so we can spend some more quality time together. We don't have any children to leave our estate to, and are considering releasing equity from our home to free up some more cash. And they want to know what's the pros and cons of this.
Okay, so releasing equity from your home is a massive decision. If you get it wrong, you could regret it forever and be penniless almost. But nowadays there's a lot more protection from the providers of the products. So it used to be like the Wild West. It was unregulated and it used to be buyer beware. Now you do have a safe home partnership and the SHP regulations that most of the big providers adhere to give you some protection. So they mean that you probably have got a negative equity guarantee, that you won't owe more than the house actually is worth. You've got lots of options as far as how you take the income, if you pay interest back or not, if you have a lump sum. The right or not will depend on the personal circumstances. Not having kids is a good reason to consider it, but not the only reason, but a good reason to consider it, because you aren't necessarily worrying about what to leave for everybody else. We spend a lot of time talking to clients about what's left over and who you want to have what when in as much tax efficiency as possible. That it's worth thinking about, but definitely seek qualified advice. And authorised, regulated. Talk about it all the time. There will be firms you can find that won't be having your interest in mind, but there are good firms about that can actually lay it all out on a table and say, okay, these are the pros, these are the cons. In your circumstances, what do you want to do? And then explain it and take you through the process and hold you by the hand. And that personal, face-to-face advice, I would imagine for this thing. Yeah. You don't just do it on the internet and fill a few boxes in and have a decision tree type thing. Look someone in the white of their eyes, explain your circumstances, and get some good advice. Within the practice, we've got somebody who's qualified to do this sort of thing. It's like an extension of a mortgage exam, really. And we've got that. It's the same person who does long-term care funding for people who might be in care. Again, it's vulnerable people or potentially people who might be making a massive decision, need the right level of care during the process. And there are steps to take. Don't just jump in, because it might be the wrong thing for you.
So seek some good advice, Ellen. Nick, as always, it's a pleasure. You'll keep us up to date, I'm sure, with the challenge.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. See, Nick is such a guy. We've known him for a long, long time. It's really sad what's happening to him, but he's such an inspiration that he's taking people along the journey with him, and for the fact that he's hoping to do the 3 peaks as well himself. If he can do it, I can do it, and me and the rest of the team can do it, and the rest of the 50-odd people, and maybe more, that'll sign up, say, because it is open still to be signed up for, and then we'll be shaking the tin virtually for support and sponsorship. But it's great, and yeah, you can't wait. We love challenges. Connor and the gang are brilliant at supporting that.
Really good. What a great place Endorf is.
Yeah, it's a community. It's not just a gym. When we talk about that, it can sound a bit glib, but it really is how it is. So, you know, the people come here, feel valued, feel part of the family. You're not coming here and just pushing some weights. So I was here this morning, you know, fourth time this week. That's it now for the week for me. But, you know, but you do feel invigorated. I was away last week, having not trained for a week.
Did you miss it then while you were away?
Mentally as well as physically.
Yeah.
Just you don't deal with things as well if you haven't got the same release. So if you're not doing any exercise, you know, when you're running the business, get yourself in gear and actually do something, and you will feel better. You'll make better decisions, and you'll be healthier for longer.
Yeah, absolutely. Nick, as always, a pleasure. We will catch up with you next month.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Shropshire Business Live TV. We're here at Stockton House near Bridgnorth for the Empower Your Business event. And a little bit earlier, I chaired a panel debate involving three of the speakers. Mo Chowdhury, who we've already heard from on the show, plus Paul McGillivray, who's an AI and technology expert from Remote, and Michelle Yehu from Good to Great. We'd invited the guests to pose various questions, and we tried to get through as many as we could. Here's a taste of it. Excellent. Bit of furniture removal going. Thank you to everybody who's put questions on Slido for us. I'm conscious we're not going to even get close to getting through them all. We've got nearly 30 questions here. So I'm going to try and paraphrase a few of them, merge a few of them together, and hopefully give a good spread for all our speakers. But probably this first question, I guess, certainly to Mo, but I guess Michelle as well would be able to answer this one. The question is, when you are recruiting staff as a leader, what sort of characteristics do you look for, and how do you instill your values and your ethos in them? Start with an easy one, I thought.
I would say when you're recruiting people, you're looking obviously for a combination of things, but I think more importantly than anything, you're looking for the right attitude and the right can-do. You can always teach people new skills. I know that there are challenges with skills, particularly like we said in the kind of, you know, in the tech space, but they can be learnt, and I think you can't ever buy that can-do. The people that are willing to be flexible, willing to change, willing to grow, they're the people you want to be looking for.
When you're recruiting, Mo, do you know straight away if somebody's got the qualities that you're going to want?
Well, first of all, it's been a while since I've recruited anybody, because obviously I've got a team of people that do it for me now. But when I do, I recruit people in sort of management, and I look for something that's a little bit different. You know, they can all come in with great CVs. I tend to look for that little bit something. It's difficult to measure, but when you start talking to them, you can start to see what they're about, how much they want, and first of all, how much they've actually done the research on your organization, whether they understand the culture, and whether they will fit into that culture. And the other thing I would look for is talent. You know, so aside from the basics, I look for talent, and I think somebody mentioned earlier, maybe Johnny or someone, that I've always looked for people that are more talented in certain ways than I am, because that's when you really do grow. And a lot of the stuff I didn't get the chance to talk about today was, the stuff that Michelle and Johnny have absolutely professionally reinforced about leadership, a vision, taking people with you. One of the things, for instance, one of my business called Pulse Fitness, a gym manufacturing company, and one of the things that business had, it's a 43-year-old company. The founders have kind of lost their way. They were not sharing their vision with their people. So I made sure that we were all aligned, we all connected, shared that same vision, so we're all in it together, and then it goes forward. So I think interviews is difficult, if the truth be told, because some people can talk a great game, but they can't deliver. But generally, I look for something like my own style would be. I dig a little bit deeper than most people. I push a little bit. I check and challenge them, and to see really how they handle a little bit of pressure, take them out of their comfort zone, because everybody comes prepared with a script, and they're going to say certain things. You can ask them certain things. Well, I'm a bit of a maverick. I tend to completely outmaneuver them and see how they react. And some react great, and some you can straight away fall by the wayside.
Yeah, absolutely. They always say, don't they, you can teach people qualifications, but teaching them an attitude and a personality is different, isn't it? Paul, I've got before you answer that one, I've got another question. There's loads of AI-related questions here, so you can have your Geeks Corner later, and we'll go through all of these. But this one that Kate has asked, lots of people, they'll use AI to generate an image to be used either on their websites or their socials, based on what you input and your own instruction. If you do that, what's the intellectual property situation with that? Do you own that, or is there copyright protection issues? What's it all about? Because some people don't quite know what they can do with it once they've created it, do they?
Yeah, totally. This is a whole talk in its own right. So, but I'll try and do the short version. Yes, if we say Midjourney, that's probably the biggest, most powerful image generation tool. It was fed on DALL-E as well, caused this furore in the first place by they just fed it all the images of the internet. And taught it, the alt text underneath all the images. It could then eventually, by seeing thousands and millions of images, connect the words with the images. Those are artists' images, so I could draw a picture of a field in the style of Monet, and it would, and it does. However, there are living artists, there's a problem. However, the copyright belongs to the person creating the image, not the artist. That's a problem in some cases. The reason why this is a talk, I'll say this in one sentence. I went to art college, and the first thing they did was take me to a gallery and got me to start drawing sculptures in the style of Henry Moore and do paintings in the style of Monet, so that I could learn what art was. And that's what those images are doing to the AI. It's learning in the same way. I challenge any musician to make a piece of music that's not influenced by another piece of music, genre-wise, and the same with art. So I don't actually see ethical challenges in that unless people are trying to pass off art as its own.
Is this part of the same kind of issue that the Hollywood writers' strike was all about, using actors' images and CGI recreations and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's a big deal, and I know that years ago, 6, 7, 8 years ago, they were already getting contracts to protect their own image. That's passing off, and I think that's a challenge. If I was to, make a movie with Tom Cruise in it, but it's not really Tom Cruise, then I'm making money off it.
Johnny, anything on this one?
No, I think you're just backing that up. To paint a picture of Monet, if I paint a picture of Monet and I sell it as Johnny Thieman's rendition of this wonderful Monet, then I'm being honest and true, aren't I? If I sort of say, actually, do you want to buy this genuine Monet? And I think the challenge is with the tech companies to actually do that. But I think if you've created it using that stuff, you are the creator. You've used a tool in the same way as you've used a paintbrush.
Johnny, start me off on this one then from Nigel, because I think everybody will have a view on this. How does a toxic culture change, and whose responsibility is it to make the first move? Is it the leader that should be doing it? Is it the follower? Is it a combination of both? How do you put it right?
Okay, so how does it change? Whose responsibility is it? First of all, it's the leader's responsibility to fix the toxic culture, and it's also the leader's responsibility that you have a toxic culture. It may not be the leader's responsibility that the toxic culture started to take foot, but the fact that it's developed and become a toxic culture is very much the leader's responsibility, because you have to act quickly. You have to be really courageous with people. Our company's called Good to Great. That was inspired by a book called Good to Great, which kind of my retired business partner and I both read about the same time. We talked about that the very first time we met. And one of the big lessons in there, he says, you've got to get the right people on the bus in your business. One of the features of being good to great. But just as importantly, if you've got the wrong people on the bus, you've got to drop them off. Yeah. So toxic cultures are created by toxic people. Now, what you can also think about with toxic people is that sometimes your toxic people are, perhaps somebody who just comes in and does a bit of part-time work from time to time. Well, that seems like a fairly easy decision to kind of move on from that one, doesn't it? But also sometimes your toxic people are the most influential people in your business. They're the ones closest to you, the ones most important to you. And you think, oh my goodness, it's really, really toxic, but I can't afford to be without them. They're so important, they're so critical to my business. They're also most dangerous to your business because they're highly influential. So that's where the toxic culture generally comes from, is from your most influential people and the failure for the leaders to actually take action quick enough.
With your tech hat on, Paul, does the people's appetite as to how fast they want to embrace technology help to promote a maybe toxic work culture if we're not all on the same bus at the same time?
That ties in actually with the first question. I've had two what I would think of and probably badly phrased as toxic people in my company over the years, and they've both been people that I hired because I needed their skills and I overlooked their values. And so I run what I call values-based recruitment now. What's their North Star? What lights them up? What do they want? And what's their aim? What are they actually aiming for? What's their vision in their lives? Because that guides everything. No matter how caring people are, we all actually have our own agendas and we all have our own aims. No matter how loving we are, we put ourselves and our families first. And so you have to make sure that that guiding star is in alignment with your own vision, which means that no matter how much you need their technology, if they're out of alignment, you don't hire and you fire straight away as soon as you realise. I made a mistake, and when I finally did let that person go, both times, the energy of the company dramatically improved. It was beautiful, actually.
Mo, where are you on this one?
Yeah, an interesting one. I remember when I acquired Waterworld, and it had been owned by PLC, a FTSE company. And the culture was really, really poor. Negative culture, disruptive, and I had to make some big decisions and effectively got rid of the whole team and started from scratch. Because you have to make the bold decisions. There's no room for compromise, it's you or them. And that it is a survival thing, even in that sort of position. So I made a complete change in management from top, bottom. Some people already left because they knew that they couldn't skive, they couldn't hide in my type of culture. So I think I take a very similar approach in the sense that I've learned the hard way to kill it, get rid of it, bring in positive energy, and even if that person doesn't have the best talent, they will, if they're not disruptive, they will bring in an amazing amount of energy that will help to galvanize everybody else, and that energy together is a massive force that's unbeatable.
Michelle, what's the leadership manual and team development guide say on this one? Is there a
I agree with everything that's been said already. I think it's the responsibility of leaders. I think sometimes maybe the leaders themselves don't know that a culture has become toxic as well. I think in terms of, because I'm just conscious I didn't answer the values part of the question, making sure that company values are really clear and visible and that everybody buys into their understanding of what those values mean is really important. And that's about vision again. So, you can have three company values and they absolutely mean everything to you, but they don't mean anything to anybody else. So you've got to really find a way to integrate those into everyday life, and it manifests itself in really simple ways like recruiting with those values in mind. Are you asking questions around those values when you are developing people? Are you developing people around those values? And when you are firing people, are you developing around those values? So if you run your business decision making through your values, then your values become integrated in your business, rather than just being something that sits with you in your head as a leader.
Somebody's just posed a supplementary question to that, Mo, so before you pass it down the line. Then I'll leave you alone, promise you. Wanting to know, how often has your, just do it, roll your sleeves up and do it attitude, how often has that maybe failed or backfired on you? And, what do you do if it badly goes wrong?
Okay, now we're talking, right? So, obviously, I only had a little bit of time, right? I could spend talking to you all day long about setbacks, and setback after setback after setback. Countless times where I've done things that they haven't worked out, but I've never lost that spirit. That's the thing, and you don't really know about yourself until you are in that situation, and most people never want to put themselves in that situation. Think about it yourselves now. How, there's always a choice, isn't there, right? And you always go for the safer choice. So I've made countless mistakes. I've had countless setbacks. We mentioned about COVID. Well, we went through the biggest development. It's now a £15 million development on my Waterwall site. We're halfway through, and the wall closes up. And for the first time, we borrowed some capital to do something big in one go. So we had to keep the bank happy. All my staff are on furlough, except 10. We have to finance everybody else. We've got to finance all our overheads. They don't stop. My backbone's always been my property investment business. And well, guess what? The government decides that the property investors are the big boys, which is the institutions. I'm not an institution. So all of a sudden, there's X pounds worth of rent that were coming in, stopped. So setbacks, I've known many, and I've lived through them. And what actually happens in a setback is I don't know about the rest, but I just get stronger. I just get stronger. My resolve is relentless because I know that it's gonna finish. I'll give you one example. Actually, it's a non-business example. I've done quite a few challenges. I've gone through the desert on a mountain bike. I've gone to climb Kilimanjaro, done a road across France, 450 nautical miles, and each and every single time, you are pushed to such an extreme point where a normal person would absolutely break. And I remember going, the last one I did about 5 years ago, I was seasick constantly. And we had to do this 2 hours on, 2 hours off, rowing to Paris. And I felt at the end of my tether, I felt that I was a broken person. And I sat down in my head, I had my coping mechanisms, and then a young, actually Olympian woman, right, Olympic rower, was a part of the team, she sat next to me, and she broke down. And guess what? It strengthened me. I started to focus on her, and all of a sudden the problem became halved. So when you think you've had it, you've been tough, you haven't. If you think you're exhausted, you're not, but there's always that extra reserve. And that's the thing that I think only when you experience it do you really, really get it. And if you've never experienced it, then in a way you are fortunate, because it's not something I would necessarily recommend. But so go back to the question of entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are not born. It's the circumstance that you find yourself in that puts you into that position.
And as a consummate professional you are, Mo, you brought me back on track to the question I asked in the first place. So, anybody else want to comment on that? Can anybody be an entrepreneur? Who wants to have a go? Or anybody in the audience who wants to have a comment on it? Put your hands up if you do. Go on then, Paul.
I agree with you absolutely. I think entrepreneurs are made because there's a point businesses naturally fall over. I think it's so spot on. I love your analogy as well. And there's a point where if you've got a safety net, if you haven't got a drive, if you haven't got a reason, to use the phrase I used before, a North Star, a reason why you're doing this, then that's the time when you're gonna quit and try something else. Go back to that safety net. I stumbled into my business out of necessity. I was broke and I worked out how to build websites. It was as simple as that. It was the only thing I had to make money. And I've had constant setbacks, as you do. It's 25 years. It's inevitable. Some big ones, but each time, because I learn from that, you don't learn from your success, you learn from your failures. And so you have to experience those, and each time I and the business have come back twice as hard. Yeah.
And also just one thing I want to add that Johnny made earlier, the quote about recklessness. Risk is calculated, always has to be calculated risk. And that's what I say, it's the ability, it's an art. And you develop that by actions. by doing things, by learning things. And somebody asked me a question about mentoring. Now, you know what? There's all sorts of support infrastructure nowadays, but you'd be amazed what you were capable of if you just stand up and give yourself that little bit of confidence and say, you know what, I can do this. And who better than you knowing what you want to do? Nobody else does, do they?
Johnny, I mean, well, they say, don't they, it's okay making the wrong decision as long as you made it for the right reasons, don't they?
Yeah, Richard Branson said the secret to success of Virgin was they learned to fail quick and fail cheap. I think kind of disagreeing and agreeing, this thing about whether entrepreneurs are made or born, I think they're made by circumstances, but they're born from your own desire. So we give birth to ourselves as entrepreneurs. That's where it comes from. So we are born, and there comes a point. We're not born at the start of our lives, clearly. I think that's the point you're making. But at some point, there's a circumstance that happens. There's a tipping point. There's a moment of decision where we say, do you know what? I'm going to change direction. I'm going to do this for myself. And I think that's an interesting point, because we make that decision to do it for ourselves, and then often we get a little way down the lane and we find that we're on our own. And what we've done is we've fallen into the trap of doing it by ourselves. So you've got to just basically become that leader. Whether you're employing people or not, you've got to be that leader and surround yourself with the right sort of people.
It's a question that I've actually posed myself many, many times. I've got two brothers, and our lives are so different. So same circumstances, same DNA. What is it that makes one person go forward and make the break and the others not? I don't know the answer to that. I'm not a geek. I'm not that clever. All I know is that there's something for me, that something was triggered so powerfully that I just felt compelled to go forward, and I can't explain it to you. I wish I was that clever enough to be able to scientifically explain it. How is it three people, one of the same family, and one has made the break and the others two haven't? I don't know.
Michelle, anything from you on this? I mean, I know, before you do, I mean, just picking up on what Mo said, in my role as editor of Shropshire Business Magazine, I've spoken to so many people who maybe only went to set up on their own, having been maybe made redundant or something happened and it forced them, they no longer had a job, and you talk to them, and so many times I've had people who say to me, God, I wish I'd done this years ago. But if they hadn't been maybe forced to do it, it might not have ever happened.
I mean, I'm a perfect example of that, being in public sector for 17 years and thinking that, that was it, but then deciding that there was something, like you said, calling, pushing me to do something different, to go and retrain, become a business coach, become ICF accredited, do that, take me on a completely different journey, whilst growing a family, whilst having all the competing challenges that you have. And now I work with startups all the time, and I always say to people when I start working with them, give yourselves permission to put on your learning plate, and allow yourself to fail if you need to. And it's a little bit cheesy, but it stands for first attempt in learning, and it really does. And you're not going to learn much by not failing.
Just as important, and to add to that, give yourself permission to be successful as well. Get out of your own way. I think often we're the own limitations to it. A lack of self-belief. I don't want to get all hippie about this because I'm not really a very good that sort of coach. But use positive affirmations. Because the alternative to not having positive affirmations is having negative affirmations, reinforcing your negative beliefs. Make sure you reinforce your positive beliefs and stuff.
You know that positive energy, it absolutely attracts, and negative energy retracts. I hang out in my gym and I train, and there's people I avoid because they're very negative. There's always a problem, and there's guys out there, women, that were very positive, very contagious, and you want to be in their company. So one of the best things I can say to you is associate yourself with positive, energized people, because whatever your issues are, they, however down you might be, they will pick you up, and then all of a sudden you'll start to self-propel yourself.
Before we wrap things up, then, can I ask all you positive people if you've got any more questions you want to ask the panel? David, go on.
Sorry, a bit of an odd question, but I find myself asking the question occasionally. How selfish are you as entrepreneurs? In terms of how you're focused thinking in terms of your friends and family, and that you're not maybe spending enough time with your children because it's always, I'm going to work really hard now to get this working because it will benefit us as a family. Naturally, there are negative spin-offs.
I'm going to be quick because I want to hear Mo's answer to this. But a few years ago, I recognised that. And so I work with my wife, so I don't have a problem with not seeing my wife a lot because we're just next to each other all the time. But we work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. No, it's good. You see, once we realised we could have different roles in the business, it was perfect. 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Our daughter works for us actually as our creative director, but she calls us Jeannie and Paul at work and Mum and Dad outside of work, and we make sure that we don't talk about work outside of work. Because this is one part of our lives, but the rest of the life is why we do that thing. And to miss that would be to miss life. So,
you started looking at me, and I thought, hang on, you're a geeky sort of character. You're looking at the wrong man. but the question is a very, very good question. I wouldn't use the word selfish. I would use the word single-mindedness. And when you start me, so when I started out, my wife, we're both in early 20s, I had this sort of the go-get, and she gave me that stability. I was a reckless type of character, and I needed to focus my energy. And what my wife did get absolutely was as a means to an end. You know, it's not forever. So you have to put all your energy for a period to build something extraordinary. If you're on that mission, then you go for that. But even in my hardest moments when I was knocking on doors, we still had a couple of days together, the weekends, the evenings were still together, so we still made time for each other. And one of the failings that I would say my father had, that he did not put the time that he had free, he focused too much on his friendship groups rather on his family. So we had no bonding, we had no fatherhood, we had no upbringing, and that was a mistake. So I made sure that my children got my attention, that I did attend the school meetings. I did go to the evenings for when they had music, when they had plays, when they would play sport. I made sure that I took time out. So you can still do that. You can be a busy fool in life and in business. It's all about being effective and having the impact. And if you're going to put all this energy into building your businesses up, you cannot be energized 24/7. You have to rest, you have to recuperate. There's time for action, there's time for family, there's time for friends, and it's a balancing act. You know, I still have friends from my cricketing days. My best friend is still in Shifnal, for all these years. But I can only manage a small group of friends because it takes a lot of energy. So I think it's about being single-minded. And now, the last 10, 15 years, I think I've got a great life because I can go to work when I want, go home when I want. So today, now after this, I'll be going to see my mother. She doesn't know that yet. She lives in Wellington still. So I'll have a curry with her, have a cup of tea, go home, walk my dog. So it's a lifestyle. And you can people say money doesn't buy you happiness. It's nonsense. It does. It buys. The people that narrative always come from people that actually haven't had it. I've never had it, but when I have had it, I'll tell you now, it's much more fun. But what it does do, it gives you freedom.
Shropshire Live. News and entertainment for Shropshire.
Welcome back. It's time now to catch up with our friends from ACO, the reigning Shropshire Company of the Year, who are always doing fascinating and fabulous things in the community. And this month is no different. Take a look.
So I've come to ACO in Oswestry. I'm just catching up with the team. Jane, Emily, you're hosting some sessions for young people during the half-term holidays. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so this is Kids Club. We ran it last year in the summer holidays. It was a great success, working with Shropshire Youth Association, SYA. So yeah, they ran it last year for us with our support and our volunteers. So we thought we'll do it again in the half term, and it's been really successful. Lots of sign-ups, there's lots of kids here, it's been really good.
It's brilliant because it gives them something to do during the half-term holidays. Plus, it's education as well, Emily.
Yeah, we've had a workshop this morning with Shropshire Fire and Rescue. So it's been great to learn about different fire hazards, and all the kids are really getting involved, answering lots of questions, but also having some fun as well with things like Just Dance, glitter tattoos, lots of different activities.
You've volunteered your time for this, haven't you?
Yeah, it's great. I love seeing them. They get so involved and they just get really sort of energetic about things. So it's nice to actually see them getting involved.
And this is another part of ACO being in the community, Jane.
It is, yeah. We're here to support young people, whether it's educational workshops, but we like to have some fun along the way. And we realise, that learning through sort of fun activities is really important for young people.
It's a great way to spend the half-term holidays. So I'm going to have a chat with Barry from Shropshire Fire and Rescue. We'll have a chat with Simon from SYA. I'm going to go and have a wander through. So I'm joined now by Barry Plants from Shropshire Fire and Rescue Service. Barry, what are you doing here at ACO today?
Hi, good morning. Yes, so we're working along with ACO in a bit of a partnership. They've got young children here over the half-term period. So we're just helping assist with fire safety education for young children, because we find it's very important with the skills that they learn. They can use these for life, and hopefully with the information that we give them today, they can take back home to the parents or whoever they live with, just to make sure that they're safe. And more importantly, that they have working smoke alarms and that they test them as well.
So what are they actually doing today? Because we're here at ACO, but obviously the session's been going on this week. One of the things that they're doing, as you say, is fire safety. So tell us a little bit about what they do when they come into this room with you.
Yeah, so when they come into this room, we try and make the activities fun and more engaging, so obviously they take on that information. So we talk about fire safety education, how to test the smoke alarms, how to plan an escape, what to do in the event of a fire, making sure basically that they've got the working smoke alarms, they get out of the house to a place of safety, and make sure they don't stop and collect valuables. A lot of the children like to say they like to collect their Xboxes, computer systems, so we sort of just explain how important it is to get home as quick and as safe as you can.
So this is for young people, but obviously Shropshire Fire and Rescue Service, you deal with a lot of businesses as well.
Yeah, so we've got a dedicated team that go out to business, making sure that they're sort of safe as well. We've got a prevention team, there's about 10 members in the crew, so we do a variety of things. So we go out to the more vulnerable people, we look at hoarding, we look at mental health, and we do these referrals within Shropshire and Telford Beacon Council, just to make sure that people are getting the services that they need to make sure that they are safe in the properties.
Now, Test It Tuesday is something I see you posting about a lot on social media. It's quite important, isn't it, to make sure we do have a working smoke alarm in our properties and businesses?
Yeah, so it's really important because that will give that early detection of a fire, and that we found that people who do not have smoke alarms, obviously, unfortunately, they sort of pass away. But it's really important to have those smoke alarms and that you do test them. I know it's we're all kind of busy in our daily lives, but once a week, just remember, just push that button to make sure that the smoke alarm does work, and that you've got a smoke alarm on each floor as well. So if you had a fire on the ground floor, it gives you that early warning, and if you're upstairs, it gives you that early warning as well.
Brilliant. Now, if someone wants more information, I guess they can find it on the Shropshire Fire and Rescue Service website, can't they?
Yeah, if you go on our website, it's under what's called Safe and Well. We have a contact telephone number on there as well, and you can email us, phone us, just give us a call, and we're willing to help anybody in the community just to make sure that they're safe from fire.
Brilliant. Listen, I know that you've got your next batch of children coming in now to learn some more about this, so I will let you go. Thank you for chatting to us.
Brilliant. Thank you for your time.
Thanks. Well, I'm here now with Simon Clay from SYA, Shropshire Youth Association. Simon, you're running these sessions here at ACO this week. Tell me a little bit about them.
Yeah, so obviously in conjunction with ACO, it's been open up to the community, and part of my role as a part-time youth worker is we're working with ACO and delivering lots of different activities, opportunities, sporting things, arts things, educational things really, informal education, and it's working really well. Lots of children from in and around Oswestry and surrounding areas. It's been opened up to the community and they're loving it. They're really good, really interesting. Everybody's taking part and they keep coming back. So yeah, it's really positive.
So it's something for them to do then during the half-term holidays. I know ACO, I was talking to Jane just a little while ago, and they run it during the last summer holidays as well, which is great for local kids, having things to do. And as you say, it's educational as well.
Yeah, and actually last year I was part of the summer programme working for Shropshire Youth Association, and the fact that it was summer and we got the opportunity to go outside, and they loved the chickens, and the fact that they could do different activities outside, and we had lots of uni hock and football, and yeah, the options were endless, and it was really, really successful. And I think the thing is here, I wasn't quite sure how it would work necessarily in terms of the building, but actually you've got an area within ACO that is great for activities and for crafts and arts, and then you've got a communal area in terms of the social side where they can interact with each other, and then you've got like the auditorium with the cinema in, and we can do all sorts of fancy things in there, and they absolutely love it in there. So it's worked really, really well.
So I guess someone like ACO that is so active in the community, that's a real help for you guys.
Absolutely, and I think, with my other role, and I work in a primary school, but as a youth worker, things are getting less and less within the community for children and young people. Youth services have been cut over the years. Historically, the funding is not there to provide things for young people. So actually, working with ACO is providing opportunities that perhaps, going back 10 or 15 years were naturally there, but unfortunately the resources are not there. So actually it's a great opportunity to sort of work in partnership really and provide things for young people, because unfortunately there's not a lot of stuff for young people to do.
Tell me a little bit about SYA then itself.
So Shropshire Youth Association is lots of different workers. So there are full-time workers with full-time posts who have youth work qualifications. There are part-time youth workers. They do a lot of work all over Shropshire. So there are youth groups. So for example, I work within Oswestry at the centre there, and we run sessions, junior sessions and senior sessions, and we average between 30 children most nights. Not dissimilar to what we're offering here in terms of opportunities, informal education, activities, cooking, life skills. And Shropshire Youth Association is all over the county, so it's quite a big team, and it's growing, which is good.
Which is great news to hear. Listen, I know you've got another session now, so I better let you go. Thanks for chatting to us.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you. Well, it was good to visit ACO just a few weeks ago when it was half term. It was busy with all the kids there, and great to see everybody having so much fun. Now then, the Shropshire Leadership Conference, that's taking place on Tuesday, the 16th of April. It's taking place at Theatre 7 in Shrewsbury. And one of the keynote speakers is Michael Heppel. Michael is an international best-selling author. He's a renowned coach and also a motivational speaker. And I'm pleased to say he joins us now on Shropshire Business Live TV. Hello and welcome to Sbltv, Michael.
Thank you very much, Chris. It's great to be here.
It's going to be good to have you in, and having you in Shropshire talking as well at this fantastic conference. There's a few people, Michael, I've said I'm speaking to you, and their kind of eyes just lit up. They've read your books, they're aware of you. So I think it's going to be really good having you at Theatre 7.
Do you know, it's one of those events that it's been booked in for a while. I am really looking forward to it. It had to change at one point a few years ago when I was booked and I was unable to do the new date. And I recommended a friend of mine and he rang me straight away and he said, "This event is brilliant. Thank you so much for recommending me." And I felt, that FOMO, that feeling of, I wasn't there. And then when they got in touch and said, "We're doing it again and would love you to speak," I was absolutely thrilled.
Which is great, isn't it? And I know, as I said, there's people that are well aware of you, and I know have booked tickets because of this. So as they come along, you do your motivational speaking, as I said, you're a writer, you're a coach, lots of things to talk about. I'm not sure we've got enough time, to be honest with you, Michael.
Let's have a go.
Let's have a go, shall we?
I'll go with a bit of brevity for you, Chris.
So one of the questions I've got for you is since COVID's gone, you know, motivational and us being motivational, maybe we're working from home now, sat at our dining room table. Has that become something that you're more aware of?
Do you know, it's a weird thing because there was a time when everyone came together. So we had that real, let's do this, let's create stuff, let's be different. We started to do online events, and I invested in studio equipment and all sorts of things, which was great. And then it seemed to dip. And we had that moment where people were a bit bored with it. And then people weren't going into work and still working from home. But I've seen a shift, particularly in the last few months, where people are wanting to come together. They're seeing the benefits of being together. We're getting loads of inquiries now for on-stage speaking at big events, which had kind of stopped. So it's wonderful that it is happening. But what you find is that human nature, people have a desire to want to be together. That's why we have tribes. That's why when we go to a football match, it's 500 times better than just watching it on the TV with your mates. So making sure that you put something out there yourself, you will get 10 times back if you mix it with other people. And people are realizing that now. They're finding it, they're embracing it.
It is that thing, isn't it? You know, as you say, we are a tribe. We are like to come together. And I think some people that are working from home are kind of almost missing those water cooler moments as well in the workplace.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have water coolers in the UK, do we? We have the kettle.
Yes, the cups of tea, the endless cups of tea and coffee.
Stood around the kettle having a chat.
Yeah.
I know that people do miss those moments, and it's interesting how it's shifting. I don't think it'll ever go back to how it was. There is that hybrid solution, which is when it works, it's great. When it doesn't work, people use it sometimes as an excuse not to be as effective, or not to invest in their teams. I think that's changing. I'm pleased it's changing anyway.
And when you go into it to maybe a business, or you're giving one of these talks and you see people, I guess they're kind of looking quite blankly maybe to start with, and then to see them, do you see their faces change as you come towards the end of your presentation?
Well, you introduced me as a motivational speaker, which is the dreadful words that nobody wants to hear. It's a staff conference, and now we've got the motivational speaker. You just
nobody's clapping.
Oh God, here we go. What's he going to do? So I go on. I'm always self-deprecating. That's my modus operandi. Go in, put yourself down, so that people feel a little bit less threatened. I think people want to learn. I think people want to learn in different ways, but at the same time, stuff has to be practical. There's no point in me standing on stage and going rah rah and all that type of thing, and then people leave and go, well, that was good, but what do I do? So these days, I think people, well, not these days, all time, people want practicals. Give me something to do, and I'll do it. That's the secret. And and that's different from coaching, because when you're coaching, you want people to have a lot of self-discovery, for people to work it out themselves a little bit, and you take them down a route. When you do keynote speaking, you've got maybe 45 minutes or an hour. It has to be content, content, content. People want to laugh, they want to cry, they want to go on an emotional roller coaster, and they want to leave knowing exactly what to do next.
And with the books, obviously, the 6 international best-selling books that you've got, when you're writing those, do you have to think in a different mindset that you would do if you were doing, say, a stage presentation, or you're actually in the workplace?
It has changed. I dictate now when I write. So I used to have to sit with a keyboard. I'm not a particularly good at typing, and I'm a bit dyslexic. Not a bit dyslexic, I am dyslexic, and I have a type of dyslexia, which means I'll jumble up words, and they look fine to me when I type them, and they look fine when I read them, and then when somebody else reads it, they go, what are you thinking about? So spell checkers and Grammarly and all that type of thing help. But now I dictate, so I actually do the writing as if I was doing a keynote, and then turn it into the written word afterwards with the first edit. And that's a really interesting process. And I've been teaching people to write books as well. So the books behind me there, all that line there, and then the one above that, there's another shelf. They're all people who have taught and coached how to write and publish and sell their books. And that is the most joyful thing, because it's like being a book midwife. You're helping people to get their book out into the world. So that's joyful, as well as writing your own. So it's changed. I think people now want stuff that's very accessible. They want stuff to be short and snappy and quick. You know, I don't know about you, Chris, but if I pick up a book and it's just solid, thick text, page after page after page, I'm like, have I got time to read this? It better be really good. Where if something's well laid out, it's broken up, you've got good chapter headings, you've got lists, you've got easy read material, I think you're more likely to get into it. And that's how you have to write now.
Absolutely, yeah. I've got to ask one question. What motivates you?
Debt. No, it's no, it's not. The thing that motivates me is I set a goal many years ago to positively influence 1 million lives. That was my big motivator. And I remember everything I did had to move towards that. And then we achieved the goal. So, 500,000 people in live audiences, another 500,000 with books and audios and things like that. And thought, right, okay, what's next? And people were saying, you should do 10 million, you should do 20 million. Thought it shouldn't be about a number. What it should be about is an impact. And so my goal now, my whole vision in life is to positively influence the lives of everyone who I connect with. So that really motivates me. So having a chat with you today is brilliant. The fact that people are going to watch this, that's brilliant. That's what I get excited about. So if I can do that every day, life's brilliant.
Which is a good way of looking at things, isn't it? Michael, listen, it's been fantastic to chat to you on Shropshire Business Live TV, and we're really looking forward to you coming to Theatres 7. So Tuesday the 16th of April, there are tickets still available. You can just do a search for Shropshire Leadership Conference and find those. And of course, if people want to find out more information about yourself, they can do that on your website, can't they?
Yeah, just michaelheppel.com, Heppell. I'm the funny spelling of Heppel, but if you put me in the Google, I'll pop up at the top, hopefully.
Brilliant. Well, listen, I'm looking forward to seeing you at Theatre 7. Thank you so much for taking some time out this afternoon to have a chat with us.
My pleasure.
So there you go, a taste of what's in store at the Shropshire Leadership Conference on the 16th of April at Theatre 7 in Shrewsbury. And if you want more details about that, the Shropshire Council website is the place to go, and also just search for Shropshire Leadership Conference. If you're going, we'll see you there. That's pretty much it for this month's edition of Shropshire Business Live TV, coming to you here from the beautiful Stockton House near Bridgnorth. Next month, we are going to be back out on the road again, coming to you from the Skills Show at Telford's International Centre, where we have a very special announcement to tell you all about apprenticeships. Top secret at the moment, but we'll tell you more about it soon. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next month.